What was that?
Just your friendly neighborhood Decepticon wreckers.
Welcome back to the Titanium Hanger. This is Mike, and today I want to talk to you about the FansToys FT-53 Parkour. This is their take on a very G1-esque masterpiece Cliffjumper, and it's a pretty good option that's out there, maybe the best that's on the market. We're going to talk about this, but before we get into it, I did get this at Show Z. I have a link down below where you can get yours, and remember to put in the TH reviewer code if you want to help out Titanium Hanger. But let's get in and take a look at Parkour. Coming up. Okay, so take a quick look at the packaging here, and it just looks like you expect. Okay, so it's kind of a cartoon type of coloration in the front. It says Parkour on the side. On the back, you get to see what the figure can do and all of that kind of stuff. So several different versions of each mode, which is pretty cool overall. Nice looking packages, fits in with your Takara and the rest of your FansToys. All right, so here he is, finally Parkour. We have Cliffjumper in probably the best form that we've seen so far, but we'll decide that in the comparisons. But looking at him overall, he looks really good. I like that the paint is really nice. Where it's red and it's painted, it is really nice. This appears, I mean, some people might say it's painted, but I think this might actually be painted. It felt like bare plastic, but it's got a nice sheen to it. But it might actually be painted too. Being careful not to scratch any of that. I mean, you definitely don't want to have any scratches on where it's painted. But great looking head sculpt. Now that is a second head. I was popping a head off to see how it came off because it looked real easy. It's actually a little harder than it is, than it should be, than it looks. But here we go from the back. Pretty clean. It's just kind of, I don't know why this would need to be some holes in it. I guess, of course, for transformation, all that kind of stuff. So, but you know, not bad at all. Backpack is a little bit there, but it's not the end of the world, and so that kind of decide if that's something that bothers you. But the side is solid, and it all kind of, it's kind of neat right there, and the arms are pretty neat too, and so the legs are really smooth and clean. The feet are kind of big though. I mean, it's this figure, it's this character. I mean, there's only so much magic that can get worked with it, so I'm okay with it. We're gonna see big feet comparisons also, but yeah, he looks pretty good. So I guess we go from this into articulation, because articulation is a factor when it comes to accessories. Okay, so the big thing is the head, and the head can go way up because of the way they engineered it, and I think they engineered it for it to be able to look up like this, because to take the head off, you almost need to, but it's engineered. There's an extra joint in there for the head, so it could spin all the way around. So that's really amazing. Now down, it just kind of goes flat. Shoulders, you do the 360, and then you can go out to about there, and then you have the bicep swivel. Now there's no butterfly in it, and there's definitely no butterfly because of the way it transforms and all that kind of stuff. And then we have past the 90, we have the typewriter finger kind of look going on here. Just all of these 4 fingers are articulated on a joint, and that's it. And then of course it moves around. No butterfly, and no ab crunch. So you got the waist swivel, no ab crunch. So that's strange. Now we do have the hiding hip flaps for it to go forward, which, is that as far as it's going to go? I thought I got it further than that. I thought I got it much further than that earlier. So I don't know. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. I'm doing something wrong with that. But we can get this out of the way here. And then goes out to here. So a bit limited on the articulation. I mean, it is a bit limited on articulation. But then again, I don't do super dynamic poses, but that's not, you know, I'm not the only person interested in this figure, so that's kind of surprising to me. Okay, and then we got the foot kind of does a whole bunch of stuff, pretty much what you need. But then again, it's a little bit limited in range too. So yeah, that's a somewhat of a negative, but in all honesty, it doesn't bother me, and he's pretty solid. Like, look how tight he is after all that fiddling around, and he's still holding solid. He has 2 guns, and this is got kind of like a bipod there, and then you have the handle that can go down, or it goes down like this for alt mode, and then it goes like this so he can hold it, and he can of course put it in his hand. He also has this gun here, which I already have in his hand. They have the backwards tab that tabs into it like so, and of course pre-tabbed it in there just for some fun, but it does look good, and it looks like it's painted nice shiny silver paint, screwed together too. It's interesting. So we can put this in his hand, and then it's a little bit challenging because the way the hand is, let's let it focus, and just getting it in there for the tab and all that, that's a bit of a challenge. But I will mess with it a bit and show you some stuff. It's all about this gimmick right here. I've got you right in my viewfinder so that he could get in this pose, put his head up, and use this giant obligatory gun that he always comes with, this cannon. Okay, so he does come with all of these heads, and so what you do is you got to lift up the head and then sort of wiggle it from here. I would wiggle it off, and that seemed the easiest way to get it off. I was thinking about just manhandling this. You can see it has a whole joint to engineer for it to do that. Then you have all these other heads, and I think I'll just show one swap out real quick. Okay, we're going to put this one on here where he's sort of smiling a little bit, and he's not quite grump. And then I'm going to fold this down, and then I'm just going to plug it in. That way you know it's on there right. And it's not on there right. In theory, this was like a really good idea, which is not a bad idea, but it's a little fiddly. A little bit fiddly with that. So there's this head, and let's get a position. And we're going to look at some of these other heads too, because I'm not going to put them all on. Here we go. We got the one he comes with is right here, the stoic, and then like a more yelling face. There they are, swappable sort of head face parts. All right, so getting into comparisons, I would say that this is probably the most important comparison, but there's so many of these that are pretty important, comparing Cliffjumper to Cliffjumper, Cliffjumper to Bumblebee, Cliffjumper to everything else. So getting into this is the Takara version 2.0, and the thing about it is that everyone bashed it and hated it, but if you look at them side by side, they look good together. They do. They do look pretty good together, and they look like they're different characters that are from pretty much the same world. Now you look at the side and you can say, okay, the feet are kind of messed up looking here, but as strange as his backpack is, this thing isn't really, it's better, but not way better. You see that, but they both look good. I think FansToys is better. Obviously, the direction FansToys is going and their design and all that stuff does beat what Takara did. There's no lying about that. But right now, and probably for the next like 3-4 years, like this is the best setup on a shelf, in my opinion. Now the 1.0, a lot of people want to go for that 1.0, and there's like a feather art or something like that out there. But till FansToys gets around to it, might be a long time. Okay, now we're getting into X-Transbots here on the left, and this is called Ace Toys, which was like super cheap, like $30 or something, and I think some places marked them down to 15. But he's made a die cast. They really went all out and really tried with that figure. But looking at them, FansToys destroys both of these, like absolutely just destroys them. Now, as you can see, as big as FansToys' feet are, both of these guys, these other ones, have big giant feet too, like I don't know, boats for feet kind of thing going on there. But that's how they look from the side. And yes, this Ace Toys has got a slimmer profile, but it comes at a cost. Huge backpack over here. But these, and I think both of these turn into more real world cars instead of the cartoon. I'm more for the cartoon look, so it works for me. That works for me. And I like that. The cartoon look on. So that's how those look. And compared to G1, and so Hasbro and Hasbro / Takara. So with that, you can see where we started, where we're going, and where we've been. So this is not a bad Cliffjumper, but not the best. It's not the best. I really didn't rave over it. I didn't think it was the greatest thing ever, but it was okay. FansToys is winning. And there's just a quick comparison to just some stuff I got around. That's the MP44 mold and some other good stuff. So with all of that, I guess it's time to get into the transformation. All right, so for transformation, there's quite a few steps here going on. Now, you do want to untab this, so I kind of pre-untabbed that. There's 2 tabs, and just be careful with making sure you get both of them out, and you want to get that out of the way because it's going to be doing some stuff later. Now, once you untab these, you are actually untabbing the backpack. It's a tab here and the slots in the backpack, so that's coming out there, and it tabs in really well, which is good and could be bad in a way. All right, we want to rotate these shoulders up and back, So that's just on a rotational joint there. Up and back. And then get that out of the way. So that's going to separate all of this, but we need to get the arms taken care of. And so before we get into the arms, we need to bring these little pieces here out and get them out of the way. Now, the arms, we have to open up this piece right here. A lot of the stuff takes a little bit more force than I would like. I will be pulling it off camera and just gently doing that, but then we have to rotate around, and we're going to kind of slide this into, there's another joint in here that slides like we saw with the elbows. Slides in like this, and then fold this down and around and tab it into here. Down here. Tabbed right there. Got that done. And we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So pull this out. Get this bottom of the door jam, whatever. Is it a door jam? Bottom of the door out of there. We won't completely unfold it just yet. And then getting this out. Looks like it'd be easy. But I'm going to do this basically pulling this piece here out off camera so I don't mess it up. Okay, what I'm doing is just kind of pulling out on this as I pull this back. I'm sure you could just yank it and it'd be fine, but it just doesn't feel right to me. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. It just doesn't feel right. And if it doesn't feel right, then I want to be sure of it. But then we move this. Everything is super tight, which is a sign of quality. I will admit, it's a sign of quality. Then we're going to tab this tab into this slot and do that. And then we have all this coming up here to cover up. Well, we got to get to the back here and do some of this stuff in the back. So go ahead and fold his head down, get it out of the way, and then we've got a lot of stuff going on here. A lot of stuff. And so we are going to fold this up. Let's do it from this. And then it's going to come all the way around, and it's just going to go right into place right here. And when you do this, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It goes right there to form that side piece. So before I go any further, this is one thing we've really got to slide these out on these sliders to get it to fit right. And so just be careful. Everything's really tight. And now slide it around and everything should fit right. So that was kind of the issue I was having right there. Missed one small minor step. So now everything should fit into place all right now. So anyway, so this goes into here, and then this will go up to here, and into place. Little fiddly. I think I still have to push this shoulder back a little more. Just a little more, just to make all that work. And we're going to do the other side. So let's get a little bit different angle on this. Okay, so what's happening here is this piece is coming up, and it's coming around, and it's going to align into this groove here, tab into place, and work its way into place. And then this is going to come up and go there, so we can see the back end coming together. And then this comes up. I went off frame to put that in place here. Oh, so a lot of little moving parts on this, and although I haven't heard of people breaking it, like that ball joint popped off. I just feel like something could break. I'm glad they used a ball joint on this because it's kind of fiddly, and that popped out, but pop it back on that ball joint. And then this is going to come up here and tab into, and I want to keep this in perspective. I think whenever you transform any of these, you want to be like, where are we at, and what are we doing, and where are we going? What we're doing is we're just working on the back end of a card. It should look like the back end of a card. If it doesn't, then you've done something wrong. But we are going to put this up here and tab these two tabs into the back end here on both of these sides, and it is not easy. You're probably going to need to get your fingers underneath this to tab it in, which it's a little bit of a challenge. I'm going to come together and close these up with sort of a bit of a under and over type of a situation right here, and clamp all of that together nice and tight in a way. I'm going to leave all this mess in here, this fiddling with it, but I want to say, if you're having trouble connecting this back end, and it looks, I undid that too. There are two things. You need to make sure you're fully extended on the slider there, which I still have a little give in that, and it's not going all the way. So you want to make fully extended on your slider, and then down here, you want to make sure that these shoulders, these joints here, are pulled back as far as you can without, of course, breaking it. And you just fiddle with that if you're not fitting. If you saw like me, I wasn't fitting. Now you've got, I'm sure someone else is going to have that same issue down the road. And then, anyway, so moving on, we're going to unclip these. And then this is going to sort of unfurl, but we're not ready for that yet. So, not ready for that. We're going to flip this around. We're going to work on the legs. So, a lot of stuff going on here with the legs. So, let's see. At this point, I'm going to raise the camera up more. So I'm trying not to go off camera here, but we're going to open up these doors, flip up the window, and then fold out. Well, let's get this stuff out of the way here real quick. Fold this out. Like so, and we're starting to form the car. I form the car. And then this is going to come up and around. Now, keep it all in perspective, right? This is all going to come up and around and clip into here once we get the leg out of the way, which this is kind of like, wow, it's a lot of leg to get out of the way. But we need to unclip the front. Breaking it loose was crazy. But anyway, broke loose. And this tab holds it into there. So as you can see, I think this is painted because it looks like either paint or stress just to undo this. Boom. Anyhow, okay, so this is going to collapse into the leg. And then fold into, like, flip it around here. So this joint here, you're just folding this red joint in, and man, everything's really hard. I am having trouble seeing it and getting the leverage from my angles here, but I'm going to get it in, fold it in, and then this forms the bottom. And then it starts to lose its composure. It does. And then this is going to fold over and tab over and under like this as we kind of... one thing we need to do real quick before we go much further is we need to shift it down. And it sort of did it on its own there, but it shifted down in the waist piece here. And I like kind of in my mind keeping everything, okay, this is looking right, this is where this is going to go, and all of that good stuff. But it does seem like we're still a little bit of a gap in here. So it should go further. As you can see there's a gap from here to here. There's still a gap in the front hood. There's more room to work on that joint to get it in all of the way. There we go. And that joint there. We'll work on cleaning that up here in just a bit. We're going to get the other side done and hopefully a little bit prettier than that. But I mean, as we're going, it's always helpful to say, hey, we're going in the right direction here. We know what we're doing here. But we do. This tab is really tight. Probably the first time. It's so tight on your first time. So that's a good advice right there. And there it goes. This one was much easier. Well, technically is the second time. So, and with this one already transformed, feels like you have less space to work in there. I might be wrong, but that's how it feels. Okay, we got to open up all this foot and leg and stuff and do all the same stuff we did before and get that out of the way. Create the hood. Create the window and all of that fun jazz that's going on there. Folding this in like a slide down method going on here. And then that's going to fold back up. trying to keep everything still in perspective as we go. But, okay, this little flap's got to come out before you fold it down, so it didn't happen for me. This tire still has to come out, and then putting it all back into here, and then folding this down. So let's go. It looks best from the bottom. This piece here, folding in, giving it a little bit of tension. My camera, I was out of storage space. Okay, anyway. Not sure what I missed there, but moving in, we're taking this all the way down to the front, and then we are going to fold this over to fill the gap, do the under and the over on the hood. Oh, come on. Come on. There we go. Over, under on the hood. And then this one over here needs to be reset again. It came out. And then it's going to tighten all this stuff up together. Come on, come on. And then tab together. We need to... We need to move these pieces here down into place. Also, I guess we should do it before we tab it all together. So this is the bumper. And then get that bumper down there. And then as we put this together, this is going to tab underneath here. And then we're going to tab it all in. Okay, whatever. Fiddle with that bumper here in a bit, but now we're pretty much close to there. Now what we're going to need to do is fold these pieces here out, and then it's going to go underneath here and tab in like that. Like that-ish. Like that-ish. And then the doors can close, and that can tighten up. And yeah, that's how that goes. Okay, let's get this other piece over here done. And then it's going to go underneath that there. And they're going to kind of like tab together at once. Like that. Like that. That tabs in. And all of this stuff is still going on. Now, we got to get these blue tabs underneath the roof. And we've got this tight... I thought it was die cast. It's not die cast. It's plastic, but that's tight. But it's not really that big of a deal. This is not a huge ordeal. Get these two tabs underneath the hood, and then these back pieces here need to get pushed down, and we're just going to put all this stuff into place as we continue to fiddle with all this. And it's going into place all the way around. Yep, you're going in place too. All of y'all. All of this is going to go in its spots that it needs to go. There are two holes or slots for the tabs and all of that. And okay, so I'm wondering if FansToys really wanted this to have like just opening doors and opening back hatch, and I'm really thinking they did want this to have a feature, but this is so strange. There's a clear tab that tabs into this, and then the clear tab at the top of the door tabs into right here. And I gotta tell you, I went to go tab that in. I felt like I popped a spring, and the whole thing just popped out. Like every tab untabbed on me at one time. That's a little frustrating, actually. But we're gonna get this down here and tab these tabs into those slots and solidify it. So as you continue to go with this, and you keep tabbing in, it becomes more solid. That's a FansToys thing, but I'm starting to wonder if I'm going to get everything tabbed in at once now, because there's a lot going on. This fell out on me while I was doing it. Someone tried to get it back in and stuff, so just a lot going on, but it's looking really good when we're done. I'll tighten it up just a little bit more. We'll take a look at it. Well, off camera, just tabbing it in for 30 seconds. I just went around and tab, 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 squeeze, 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 put some pressure here, realign this, realign one of these, only took like 30 seconds, and boom, it's all tabbed together. It all just popped back together, just same as it seemed to spring out of control on me for a second there. It's not the worst transformation I've ever done. It's not absolutely horrible. What it pulls off is quite impressive. It's very nice looking. Cliffjumper overall. It actually, in hand, looking at it, it feels like a mix between the real world and the cartoon, and not super ultra cartoon. So we are going to do comparisons, and we'll talk more about that then. This has the blue windshields, but they're darker blue than Takara, which is fine. And then on the bottom, it all looks nice and clean. I mean, you can tell it was a bot, but I've still got a little bit of a gap at my door, and I'm not sure if it's something I can get rid of, but I don't care. It just still looks pretty good. And then you've got chrome for the wheels, and then on the back, just flat, looking okay. So decent looking overall. Let's see what we can do with some accessories before we get into what I think is the most fun part, of course, is comparisons. Yes, it does actually roll really, really, really well with those rubber tires and all that kind of stuff. We need to put these on, and they're very specific. I think the longer ones go on the front. I think that's how it goes. And then so which ones are longer and shorter? Are they all about the same size? Are they all the same size? I think, well, they're all the same size. In my head, I thought a set was longer than the other ones. So that's just my craziness going on. Sure, insanity. All right. There we go. And there is the other one. Now, if you have X-Transpots, Neptune, their sea spray, I think that came with a bunch of stuff that you could hook up. You could sort of hook up something and do some windsurfing or something. Is that the right figure that does that? One of those does this. But anyway, it was one of them has some cool accessories that might work with this. I don't know. They're packed away in a box, and I don't feel like getting it out. But that's cool. It's okay. It's at this point obligatory, and I probably won't display it like this. It's fun that they have it though, and it's one of the releases that has more accessories for FansToys. Now take his big old bazooka and fold it down, and then fold this in, and then this slot there will tab into here, and then this thing here folds out, I think, and then we should be able to tab in to this bad boy somehow. Yeah, this is straight. This is why it has a screw in it, because it rotates so that you can put that slot on the tip here, and then there you go. And then you can shoot it. Maybe you can also put it right here. Is that? Nope, that's too thick. So yeah, something along those lines. That's something you can do. Weapon storage. Does he have a place to store all of his extra faces? Here he is next to G1 with all of that G1 fun that we had from back in the day. And I tried to transform my Transformers when I was a kid. Fast as the sound was on the show, I practiced over and over and over. And some of them I could do it almost fast enough, like him, Bumblebee, and those. But as you can see, this penny racer here is much more squished than this guy here. So with that, this is a little bit in the real world realm. A little bit. I mean, I've seen cars that look similar to that, electric EVs and stuff. But yeah, it doesn't quite match the cartoon 100%, which is okay with me. It's fine. I actually would prefer closer to cartoon and the head to stay in, but still, that looks good. I'm going to start using my Magic Square Optimus Prime for comparisons here, so you can kind of see how it fits in with MMC, FansToys. Magic Square is so clean when it comes to the back part of it and all that, and then I did a quick fix to that, so it just looks okay, and there we go. Hey, that looks pretty nice. So this is my look at Parkour, FansToys' take on Cliffjumper. He's a great looking figure overall. Probably the best figure on the market, but he has a little bit of limitation with his articulation, which doesn't really bother me. It never really does. A little bit of kibbliness in the back, which really, again, it's not something that doesn't bother me, but those are the complaints about some of the other versions that are out there. But I say, at the end of the day, this is still the best one. Some complexity with the transformation, which you kind of have if you're going from super accurate cartoon mode, alt mode, to this bot. Looks good in both modes, paint's really good, but overall, I think FansToys is killing it. $100 for this at Shozy, and if you want to get yours, go to Shozy. I'll have a link down below where you can get yours. But let me know what you think about this in the comments below, and are you going to be in on the rest of these mini bots from FansToys? Like and subscribe. Teddy Hanger out.
It sure is. Okay, little buddy. You feel tough enough for another go-round?
Cliffjumper, above you!
You're about to become instant junk!